What's up, guys? This is Matt Day from the Matt Day Photo Film Show, and today's episode I'm going to be talking about the Polaroid SX-70. If you guys are familiar with the show, you know I've mentioned a lot that I like to shoot a lot of instant film, and there are a lot of different cameras, and that's kind of what makes instant film so fun in a lot of different formats. But out of all the different instant film formats there are and all the different cameras, I think this is definitely my favorite instant camera that I use. So today I just wanted to kind of go over the camera and show you guys how it works, how you load the camera, and just talk a little bit about it. So for starters, as you guys can see, whenever the camera is collapsed, it's a really compact setup. I mean, I've carried this around in my back pocket before. It easily fits in a hoodie pocket or a jacket pocket, anything like that. So having a camera like this with the quality that you can get with a camera like this in such a small kind of compact setup is really nice. But the way the camera opens up, you can see here on the top there are grooves on each end, and that's where you hold onto the top of the camera. And if you just kind of get a good grip on the base, you pop this up and it'll slowly all lift up. It'll all lock in and you're ready to shoot. Once you're comfortable with using the camera, opening it up, you don't really have to go that slow or be that careful. Obviously you don't want to just try and rip the thing apart, but it's a really smooth kind of way to open the camera, and it'll lock into place right there. And to close it down, you can see on this side you've got a little arrow that's pointing back, so you just pull this back and that unlocks the camera, and you just fold it down and it just collapses down onto itself, and you know, makes for a really compact setup. So to kind of go over the camera, it's pretty bare. It's an SLR camera, so you're looking through this viewfinder right here into the mirrors, and you're actually looking through the lens. So with this camera being a manual focus camera, your manual focus is right here, and you can actually see the lens moving forward and backward. But this camera can actually focus really close. I believe it's something like 10 inches or so, but I mean, if I focus on the GoPro camera here, right there is the close focus. So that'll kind of give you guys an idea as to how close it is. And I'll take a photo and, you know, show you guys all that here in a minute. But having that close-up ability is one of my favorite things about this camera, because using that with the look of instant film goes really well together. So your focus is over here, like I said, and over here on this dial, it's your basically your exposure dial. It's not very high-tech by any means, and it's not manual. The camera is going to choose the exposure for you, but you can kind of compensate for that with this dial. So if you wanted to have your exposure a little bit lighter, you would obviously dial it in this way, and then if you wanted to have it a little bit darker, you would dial it in this way on the darker side. For most of the Impossible Project instant film that you're going to use with this camera, because of the speed of their film versus the speed of the original Polaroid film that was made for this camera whenever it was first released, you're going to want to dial this in a little bit darker than you would on a normal Polaroid SX-70 film. So for me, whenever I'm shooting the Impossible SX-70 film, especially outdoors in broad daylight, I'm usually 1 to 2 notches on the darkened side up here on this little scale. But some of the older films, I actually had it full darken on a sunny day, and that actually gave me really good results. But for their latest film, I'm usually 1 to 2 notches on the darkened side when I'm in bright sun, and if I'm kind of in a shaded area, maybe just 1 notch. So that's a little bit about the exposure dial, but obviously with instant film, it's all different, so your best bet is to just kind of try it out and, you know, basically get comfortable with the exposure, so that way you're going to know exactly how much to adjust this in any kind of lighting. And also for taking the photo, if it's not obvious enough, it's the big red button here on the side. And the way that they've designed the camera, it's pretty nice that when you're holding the camera, you can rest your thumb in this little pocket right here and just almost like pinch right here, so that way it's a really sturdy, smooth kind of shutter release. And on the side, you've got a little socket here that you can plug in a cable release to. Not your standard cable release that screws into most cameras. It's a specific kind made by Polaroid, but those are available. And up here on the top is where you would mount your flash bars. So that's pretty much the basics of how the camera works. As far as using the camera, I've got 1 frame left here in this pack, which the frame counter is also back here. I forgot to mention that. And right now it says 3, and that's because Polaroid film had 10 frames per pack. but Impossible Project, with the design of their film packs and the battery and all of that, they can fit 8. So with this one, whenever it says 2, you're actually at 0 because it starts at 10 and counts down after each shot. So because this says 3, I know that I have 1 shot left. So I'm going to go ahead and take a photo here of the camera so that way you guys can see the camera being used, and also you're going to be able to see me load the film, just so you guys will know how all that works as well. So I'm going to set it to just 1 notch darken and kind of shoot in on the side a little bit, and I'll focus as close as I can just so you guys again can see how close you can focus with this. Okay, right there the Hero 3 Plus logo is in focus, so right there. And there it is. So I'm going to be loading some Impossible SX-70 color film. So on the side here of the camera, there's a little latch that you push down, and it has a little arrow pointing down. And when you push that down, the front of the camera opens up just like any standard Polaroid camera does. And you can see here that there's this little tab on the film, and you can pull out with that. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that the camera is not going to do anything if there's no film cartridge inside. It's not going to work. And even so, if it's an old film cartridge, especially one from the actual Polaroid brand, it's so old that those batteries are probably going to be dead anyway. So that's one thing to keep in mind if you guys find one, is that unless you have a fresh cartridge to test it out with, you're never really going to know exactly if it works, because the batteries are going to be what's powering the motors inside. So like I said, you just line it up right in here. You can see the top of the film pack, there's your dark slide here. So you just line that up, push it all the way in, and whenever I close it, the camera powers up and it spits the dark slide out, and now I'm ready to shoot. And you can see the frame counter there is at frame 10, so that lets me know that I've got a fresh pack in and I'm ready to shoot. And yeah, that's about it. You guys can probably find these anywhere from $100 to $200 online, depending on the condition that you find them in. So if you guys are wanting to get into shooting instant film and you want to be able to have some manual focus capabilities and actually using an SLR and knowing exactly what your frame is going to look like, then SX-70, it's the original. There's no comparison really. There are a lot of different models out there of different SX-70s, but the classic is my favorite. So if you guys are interested in one of these, check them out. And if you have any questions at all, just leave them in the comments and I'll try to answer them the best that I can. And that's about it. So we'll see you guys next time. Thanks.